Copenhagen, summer 2017. It's blistering hot. Even people dressed for the heat are uncomfortable, and ice cream salesmen are making a mint. A newspaper stand shows a headline about a number of elderly people having succumbed to the heat. In a dank backyard amongst tenement buildings, a group of children are involved in a fight. 5 against 1. Something is not quite right with the world. Meanwhile, in a brightly lit room, a man is putting on a pair of rubber gloves. His face is covered by a surgical mask and he's wearing a surgical gown. None of his equipment is clean, not even the gloves. His eyes are cruel. The room looks like it should be sterile, but the blood flecks on the walls and the algae strips on the floor tell a different story. Behind him, a woman is begging for mercy, but he ignores her. Meanwhile, a motley of young Kithane are asked to appear before the summer court. Little information is given to them other than Duke Hardenberg himself is behind the summons. There is a tenseness to the mood at court as they arrive, like something is wrong, yet no one knows exactly what. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to this week's episode of Copenhagen Dreaming. We are not quite all here, but we should be as the evening progresses. Charles's player, Emil, hasn't turned up just yet, but he should be on his way. This is our second prequel session of this campaign, so why don't we get a recap of last time, Chris? You usually do those for us.
God damn it. Yeah, I suppose it's
You've been typecasted. You might as well learn to live with it.
Typecasting isn't always bad, I suppose. What did happen last time on Copenhagen Dreaming? Well, the first elements of the motley got together and were summoned to the Winter Court and stood there before is it the Duchess Rosenberg?
Rosenspar, but yes.
Oh, Rosenspar, my apologies. Who set them the task of finding and recovering one of her lost birds. Basically, was it her eagle?
Yes, it was an eagle.
It was an eagle which had escaped from the aviary in her fine sort of was palatial rooms. We did some preliminary investigation. We got to know each other as characters in the meantime, sort of how we all responded to it. And we discovered that it had left behind a trail, essentially, that we could follow to try and track it down. We briefly met up with Sun Wukong, a puka with sort of monkey features, and allowed an opportunity to introduce the fact that we were able to try and discern that, obviously, because puka are consummate liars, they try to sort of take what they say with a grain of salt. Sometimes even just plain old invert what they're saying and work with it. It's quite interesting. Eventually, we discovered that the eagle had flown all the way to. Forgive me, my location knowledge is terrible. Copenhagen Zoo.
Yes.
We stopped only briefly to pick up a fine cut of meat on the way to entice the bird, and made our way in. Following the trail, eventually made our way to sort of small mammals section, as you know, it was towards the end of the day. We got in the middle of an altercation between a vampire and a werewolf. As it's, some of us haven't had our fill of that from previous campaigns. We didn't get the name of the guru that we, of the skin changer that we faced. I do believe that the vampire gave herself up as Karina Oldenburg.
Yes.
And she was quite friendly, right up until a moment when she wasn't, but we made our way out there quickly by that point. And the point was that Copenhagen Zoo is considered neutral territory. You're not allowed to shed blood if you're a supernatural on that soil. So going around the zoo, we kept following the trail. We thought we could. We found the eagle perched on top of one of the giraffes, I believe, located in the zoo. And Sunny was it Sunny? Yes, had the brilliant and not at all um, patchy idea to just sort of jump in and try and get a hold of it by actually going into the enclosure, which not only caused the eagle to fly off somewhere else, but led to a certain amount of panic among people, and then Sunny had to basically hide herself and then make her way out quickly when no one could see them, and we had to leave her behind because we
Him
behind. Have to him. I'm thinking of the player. My apologies.
right, yeah.
I had to leave him behind to try and chase after the eagle again, which we eventually found.
By the elephants.
Yes, by the elephants. A different enclosure, but we found it. We approached it more cautiously, offered up the meat, tried talking to it. It responded somewhat imperiously, because that's what you imagine an eagle would be like. And it was confirmed completely that yes, this is a test that a lot of young Kithane undergo at Duchess Swords Spar's behest, and that we'd done pretty well. So it took the meat and went off to say that yeah, they'd found it, and we decided, well, might as well start making our way out. On the way back, however, something appeared that caught a lot of us by surprise, piqued our curiosity. A dragon, basically, a big, black, very mean-looking dragon flew overhead, and in spite of some complaints, curiosity got the better of most of us, and we all decided to follow it, which eventually led us to a large open square near to the Danish government buildings. Was it near to Christiansborg? Was that right?
Actually, it was near the City Hall in Copenhagen.
Near City Hall. You can tell, ladies and gentlemen, that I've not done this in a while. My knowledge is rusty, and I will get back into the swing of things as we go along. This great dragon, who we as players know as the Lady, was accosted by a fine shining knight on a mighty destrier and two accompanying trolls of equal valor and martial prowess. The words were exchanged. All of them martial, all of them sort of filled with venom and valor and promises of death and destruction. And in the end, the Lady decided to escape the situation by causing a rather large and quite damaging traffic accident and taking her leave, relying on the noble knights to go to save innocent people rather than leaving them to die and face up to her. So they did, and she flew off, and we decided, being responsible and upstanding Kithane, that we would go in and help, and we were actually able to help save lives, which was quite good considering how sort of early days for our characters. And we were treated by them, by I think it was one of the trolls who came to congratulate us, to go out to drinks. And we went to... Where did we go to?
We went to the Dream Factory.
Dream Factory, what a wonderful name, especially considering owned by a fellow named Shade. At least that's his pseudonym. Nobody knows if that's his real name, or if he has a real name that anyone else cares to know. And we sat and we talked and we had a good time, and some drawing was done, and yeah, it was an all-round good feeling that we'd accomplished something really fantastic.
Absolutely, yes.
So yeah, that's pretty much where we left it off, with the sort of having a drink of something like hot chocolate or whatever, and just reveling in our accomplishments.
Yes.
Not undeservedly.
Absolutely. And that was what happened last time. This time, of course, as it's said in the introduction, you have been summoned to the Summer Court instead, which is located at the Glyptotek, as it's known, a museum in Copenhagen where ancient classical historical artifacts from ancient Greece and Rome and so on are on display. And the Summer Court has its residence in this museum after hours, so to say. And that's where you are, or at least that's where you arrive as we begin. And as the introduction also said, the mood seems to be somewhat tense. But at first, at least, no one is bothering you, so you have time to talk and get reintroduced and so on. It's been a year since the first intro, and in that time you've learned a bit about how to use some of your powers, and more than that, you've probably also gotten to know each other somewhat better. This also means that if Agnes and August wants to, you have undoubtedly at least had a chance to meet the others. So, there's a chance here to sort of do a bit of social RP before everything gets started.
Yeah. So, who's who? In this awkward little thing?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a round of introductions then, since we have two people here who weren't there last time.
Good idea.
So let's start with you, Rasmus. We'll just take it from the top on the list here.
Yeah. So I play Jonas, who is an Arcadian she, who seems doesn't seem all that fond of the whole let's bow and scrape and be polite, but he does do it whenever it serves a purpose. He doesn't seem to expect that you do it towards him, though. He has a band by now. He's generally a nice guy. Seems to like music quite a lot. Probably sticks, unless you object, to Jasmine, because he's decided that she knows what's going on.
Right. Fair enough. Let's move on to Jasmine then.
Yes, conveniently. Jasmine is our team's resident Aishu. She is also working her way towards being kind of the group's law keeper and knower of things. Again, hence why Jonas is so keen to be on her good side, it seems. She is, in terms of her social life, she's keeping to her study. She's still helping out her family, who own a prominent Indian restaurant in Copenhagen, and is working. One day hopes to, work in that particular industry, working there, because she adores cooking, particularly as a skill and just the craft of it.
The Boggans, by the way, at court have actually declared that the dreaming made a mistake, and you should have been one of them.
Oh, goodness me. But that's high praise coming from them, so we'll bear that in mind. Yes, she's a year spent doing all of this and getting involved with all of this, and knowledge and etiquette and everything that needs to be sort of known at this point. She's taken to it with quite a lot of vigor, and it's changed her outlook on a few things. Certainly, she's becoming more and more of a team mum.
Oh dear.
Yes. She's on good terms with Jonas. She's hoping she's still on good terms with Sunny. There was some stuff that happened in the last session where Jasmine may have said something a little bit insensitively that Sunny was, for a time, a bit put out by, but she's been working to try and
to apologize, basically, and
to apologize and to mend that old wound, as it were.
All right. Well, let's hear about Sunny next. And if you're speaking, Aya, we can't hear you. Right, she might not be there for some reason or other.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she's listed as offline on Discord somehow.
Weird. I see her as being here. Well, in that case, we will have to. We shall have to move on, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
Charles is played by Emil. He isn't here yet, so he will have to, make his introductions when he arrives. And then we have Agnes next.
Yes. Agnes is like typical Danish middle class, typical family, middle child. Um, obviously, obviously she's a redhead, so there's a little tiny bit of a temper, but she forgives very easily because she's very good natured and the curiosity sort of just takes over and she's just absorbing everything and pretty much do not have a filter from brain to mouth.
Might I ask what type of face she is? I don't think you've listed that on her bio.
Yeah, right. She is a pisky.
Ah,
No filter pisky.
that sounds very rude.
Yeah, but very, very cute and forgivable.
Yeah.
She actually has all the advantages to back that up.
Oh goody.
And the thing about piskies is that they just seem to fit in everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we know who the team's resident licensed troublemaker will be.
Yeah, that will be me.
Yes, and we'll get to August now.
Well, I just changed in the bio, so some of you could actually read a little bit about him. He's from Bergen. He's generally a bad kid. Anything that falls into the ground is up for grabs. Stealing is second nature to him. And that has him, through the years of his preteens and up, got him into a lot of trouble, which means he's quite good with his fists. Chain smoker. And he looks quite handsome. He's not the prettiest among sheep, but doesn't matter. As I'm saying, he is a sheep, but from a golden family.
Yes.
Which means he probably has a lot of things he has to do he doesn't know anything about, and a lot of things that he doesn't want anything to do with because, well, those retards can go fuck themselves.
Yeah. Yes. Lots of expectations and 2 mid-digits.
Yes, I would hesitate to say that he or something that August is setting himself up to be the black sheep of the.
Oh, that was
I'm
awful.
here all night. I'm here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
I miss Hille.
Oh, how's that supposed to make me feel? Okay, but yeah, okay, so yeah.
Right.
He seems.
In any case, that you are there, and you know, as I said, you have some time to socialize before anything major happens.
Yeah, well, as usually, when inside, he's probably smoking on some kind of vapor electrical cigarette or something like that. Just because. He isn't defying the court as per se, but they're not going to tell him he can smoke it.
No, that's a good way of handling it. Basically, they tell you can't smoke indoors, so you'll turn up with an electrical cigarette instead. I like that. There's a very personal kind of rebellion in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think AJ is back.
Oh, you there? Hey. We need you to give an introduction of Sunny.
Oh,
Because we have 2 new people who weren't there last time, after all.
right. Hello, new people.
Hello.
Sunny is probably the weirdest looking thing. He is obviously a satyr. He cannot hide that even if he wanted to.
No. It's the legs, you know, and the horns.
Yeah. And the tail.
2.
And the temper.
In some cases, yes.
And the emotional outbursts.
Definitely.
Yeah. Also, he grew wings.
You see, that's the unusual part.
That's kind of big. So hiding them in clothes is kind of hard. So he's kind of happy that it's very warm outside, so people won't look weirdly at him for not wearing a shirt.
No, and he's got a nice enough upper body that he can definitely get away with it.
Yes.
Right. What's he like as a person? You know, it's been a year since we played last up. You know, since the last session was meant to happen. So
well,
yeah.
He is. He's. When you look at a emotional artist who likes to paint, that's him.
Right.
Mostly always wearing this leather belt with his brushes and sculpture things in.
Yep.
And always with paint splotches here and there. He's always wearing a pair of headphones, as if he's, ready to listen to music at any time.
Yeah.
Always smiling. Unless you piss him off, then he's not.
Well, fair. Sure.
And rather athletic.
Okay. Well, no problem then. And as we have just found out, August is smoking an electric cigarette indoors, because at least that way he's still maintaining his independence. And that's, I think, as far as we got.
Yeah, so I think Jonas will approach the others with them. Hey, do you guys know what's going on?
No clue.
No.
Hey, Jonas. No.
Hey.
But we could ask. Like, who do you think might know? Where's
I don't.
Jasmine?
Yeah, Jasmine,
Hmm?
do you know what's going on?
No, not really. Only that it was by the Duke that the Duke's summons were attending, but
Just everyone seems so glum.
something big's happening. Whatever it is, this is the first time that all of us have been called together like this. Anything like this hasn't happened since last year, and the trip to the zoo and the dragon.
Oh, you think the dragon might be the reason people are so glum?
Possibly, might be something else as well. There has been something growing the last couple of days, weeks. But I've not been told what.
But isn't that, like, always the case? Like, something is going on? Like,
Yes, but
let's
it's not.
ask, who's around? Who do you think would... No. Like, that guy over there points to someone who looks very official.
Someone who looks very official. Okay. This fellow.
Oh, jeez.
That would be someone looking very official in this place.
Yes.
Yeah.
He really can't help it, he's
Yeah,
a
very
she.
official.
He's a she, and he's very he's very high ranked. He looks official and serious by default.
Yes.
I can go ask him.
Is Thomas anywhere near around? Nearby? Thomas the Troll?
John.
Sorry, the Thomas the troll?
Yeah.
No, he's not here.
Damn.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but he tries to avoid. You've learned this over the last year, that Thomas only attends court when he's specifically summoned.
Yeah, but if he'd been here, then he'd definitely know what would happen.
Oh hell yes! Then there's no question he would know, because he wouldn't turn up unless somebody told him.
Mm-hmm. No, he's very much the he's the Kithane equivalent of a European Republican, not an American Republican, but a European.
Yes. So basically, this whole titles malarkey is not for him.
Yes.
Yes. But no, he is in fact not there.
We do have the Count.
Yes.
Well, Jonas approaches him and says, "Excuse me, Count Gunge, may I have a moment?"
He looks at you and nods and says, "Certainly, what can I help you with?"
We were just wondering if you knew what's going on. Everyone seems so down.
Well, I know some of it, but I don't know if I should tell you or if I should let His Grace do so himself, obviously, but he looks around and says, "Suffice to say that tradition is involved. Ancient traditions and challenge."
That sounds intriguing.
And dangerous, I'm afraid.
It's not that dragon thing again, is it?
Oh no. It involves you.
I don't recall having challenged anyone for anything.
No, you haven't challenged anyone for anything. Someone has challenged this court for you. But that's about as much as I can tell you until you've had a chance to talk to His Grace.
Well, we should probably go see if he's busy then.
Probably a good idea, yes.
Thank you for your time.
No, you're welcome.
Jonas returns to the others and looks, well, he looks glum like the rest of them.
Well, that didn't seem very helpful. He just ended up looking like all the rest of them now.
But
Something
what did he say?
Something about challenges to the court for, was it a plural or singular you?
It was a plural, you.
Oh, challenging the court for us.
Wait, what?
We didn't do anything.
I know.
Someone's trying to win us as a motley.
I have no idea. We should probably see the Duke.
When
Is there
we
kind of-
just-
If they try to tie us up nicely with the bow because they lose, I'm gonna get angry.
I hope not.
Hmm.
It feels weird being a commodity.
Well, who knows? I'm sure that we'll do what we can to get it all resolved.
And as you say that, Maya approaches you all, looking very worried.
Hi, Maya.
Hi,
Yeah?
hi. How are you all?
Confused.
Hmm.
Hey, that was my word.
Right.
Also, Harkness, get out of my head.
But I live here.
That was actually a very good answer to that.
So nobody has told you anything yet, I take it.
A little bit, but nothing that makes sense.
Right. We should probably go see His Grace now. He's ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
please.
Let's go.
Yes. I'll be right outside the door if you need help.
Would we need help?
Well, if you have any questions or anything of the sort. No,
Oh, like that. Okay.
don't worry.
For a moment there.
And she takes you to the private throne room, so to say, or the private rooms of the Hardenberg family, and leads you in, and then when you get to the it's not actually the word throne room is incorrect here. It's more like the man's private sitting room, his what would you call it, his library or something of the sort, where he's
His private study.
Yes, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you very much, Chris. And you could call the high-backed, deep chair in which he is sitting as you enter a throne. It wouldn't be entirely remiss to do so. It is ostentatious and it is enormous, and very comfy looking.
And if he is talking about it, he'll probably just call it his soft chair or something.
Something
like
like that, yes.
that. Completely disregarding the fact that it looks like a throne.
Yes. Well, you are, as I said, you are led in. He is present, so is his daughter, the Baroness. So, first and foremost, this fellow and this lady are present.
Well, Jonas observes the correct etiquette, I suppose. The polite
Yes.
bowing and scraping.
Yes. And the Count waits until the door is closed, and then he waves a hand not in a dismissive kind of gesture, but sort of as to tell you it's fine, it's all right, don't worry about it, which is highly unusual. This is a man that you've learned over the past year is, let's just say that he likes formalities to be in order. For him to be informal is practically unheard of.
He must be
Jonas
having
greatly approves.
he must be having. Jasmine's thinking he must be having a very stressful day if he's ignoring formalities.
Yes.
He might be slightly sick.
His daughter looks very, very worried.
Yeah.
Elizabeth looks very concerned. And basically the Count gestures for all of you to have a seat. There are several other chairs in the room if you want, or a couch for that matter. He says, please, have a seat if you wish. I'm very glad that you could come on such a short notice.
Sonny will take a poof or something because high back something is not good with him.
True.
But Jasmine will definitely happily take a seat on one of the couches,
Yes.
or the couch.
There is an issue that I need your help with, he says, and I would not normally ask Kithane so young as yourselves with something as serious as this, but I must, and I'll explain why. The Nightmare Court has issued a challenge.
Oh dear.
Jonas grows paler than he already is.
And what is the challenge?
The challenge is that either my finest childlings, that would be you, incidentally, solve a riddle, or a task, more like, put before them by the Nightmare Court, or Elizabeth will have to cede part of the power of Copenhagen to the Nightmare Court when eventually she takes over after me. I cannot, in good faith, simply disregard this challenge, because it is made with the backing of the lady.
Why would she back that?
Because she backs the Nightmare Court.
Yeah, she didn't seem particularly happy about this court last time I saw her either.
No. She spent a year negotiating with Baron Steele, and this is what they've come up with. Games, tricks, challenges. This is undoubtedly not the last one we're going to hear from them, but I trust that they have started out with something like this because they want to test our readiness. I do hope that I can count on your help. Elizabeth is, well, let's just say nobody should have to share power with the monsters of the Nightmare Court.
Yeah.
Can we expect them to play by the rules?
I think it is safe to say that they won't.
Then we don't either.
He smiles very, very, very slightly, and looks at Agnes and says, "Oh, I'm sure I didn't actually hear that."
No.
It isn't cheating if you get caught, unless you get caught.
He sends a look of, you could swear, August, that he really wants to disapprove of you because of who you are, but right there he can't.
I think we are all at your service, Your Grace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As if we had any kind of possibility to say no to this.
You do. If you don't want to do this, I cannot force you to undertake something that could potentially be dangerous, he says. That would be wrong of me. I'm not going to do that. That's why I'm asking you instead of commanding.
Not in like we would have to say no to you, because that wouldn't be a problem to me. But to the rest of the community, it's not like we are able to say no to this.
Well, I'm glad that you see it that way.
That might be so bold. To me personally, this whole business is, if nothing else, an insult to Lady Elizabeth, and that does not sit well with me.
If nothing else, we get to beat up a couple of red caps.
I
Show up
think
the Nightmare Court.
I think there's a good chance of both showing up the Nightmare Court and potentially beating up a few red caps in the process, he says.
Well, as long as one of us is happy to take on that responsibility. Yasmin says, looking over at August, thinking to herself, "Yeah, but not ready for that yet." But where would we have to go to undertake this quest?
When you leave court, you will be met by, as I've been told, 2 representatives of the Nightmare Court, and they will take you to where you need to go. I have been promised that no harm will be done to you. And I actually believe that they're going to stick by that promise. Because this is about humiliating me, not about harming you.
Well, if I understand the politics right, if they harm us in any way, that would mean semi-open war.
It
We
would.
wouldn't want that.
Exactly. It would mean open war. They're not prepared for that. And it would also mean, on a disgustingly simple level, that they would lose the challenge, and I'm not sure the lady would be in favor of that.
No, this whole charade is about them proving that they are better than us.
Definitely.
We'll do everything in our power to prove them wrong.
Just remember that they do deal in nightmares.
Should we be armed?
I don't think that you should. It would be inviting them to use weaponry as well, if they face you directly. I am sure, he says and looks at August, that you have the strong arm that you need.
Sure.
I don't actually think that this entire thing is going to be about violence anyway.
I'm guessing it's still going to be really unpleasant.
Probably yes. But violence, I'm pretty sure that it is not about. If that was the case, they would have tried to humiliate one of my knights. Speaking of, he says and looks at the 2 she, you are reaching an age where it should be considered making you the squire of someone.
Oh, right.
We shall have to look into that, I think, when this is done.
Giggles. Trying to imagine August as a squire.
That is an interesting thought.
You're gonna be a squire, August.
Shut the.
Yeah, you got.
I'm going to bounce script.
This is getting a little too colourful for our current company. Alright. Then I think we have everything we need then. Shall we, by or leave your grace, set two?
Yes,
Yeah. Might as well jump on it.
absolutely.
Get this over with.
In that case, Jasmine stands up. Again, she is of a womanly persuasion, is Jasmine. Would she curtsy? Or would she also be expected to bow?
I think she would be expected to do either.
Her choice.
Her choice.
No choice. Well, in that case, I think she will actually bow.
Yes.
And
Well, I'll actually bow, and as I leave the room, I'll take a quick puff of my cigarette.
Of
I mean-
course.
yeah,
Jonas bows as well.
I guess jumps up from the server and sort of looks around and tries to copy Jasmine.
Yes, so you try to do the whole bowing respectfully thing.
Yes, but I'm not sure it's succeeding.
No, but you're giving it your very best attempt, at least.
yes. It all depends on how much you're fidgeting while doing it.
Yes. And you,
He's standing outside the door and silently clapping it.
well, as you're brought outside, you have a few moments to talk to yourselves, and I shall just be AFK for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So, where do you know? We just wait?
I think he said when we leave this place, we'll be picked up by two probably nasty people from the Nightmare Hall.
The talents we got between us, I think there's not much they can design for something like us that we cannot beat.
Oh, that's certainly optimistic. That's nice to hear.
But again, it's the Nightmare Code. Who knows if they actually designed whatever task this is for something like us, and not just for 2 full-time nights or something.
I'm honestly expecting them to cheat and change the rules, so even if we succeed, we'll fail.
Well, I think the way the politics works is our biggest means of actually winning this is making sure that we catch them in the cheating. Make sure they break their own rules.
If we can catch them in cheating, that would definitely be in our favor, yeah.
Yes. Most to our advantage.
I'm so not looking forward to facing nightmares.
It is inevitable that we would have to. It's a test of our perseverance as much as our skill.
I would feel safer had I had been, a squire for a while and been taught how to fight.
Well, you see those things at the end of your arms? It's called hands. Make them into fists and lunge at things.
Or kick them if your legs are stronger.
Yeah, it usually works.
If that fails, scratch out their eyes.
I'd prefer having a bow, but yeah.
I've actually figured out the best way of winning any battle is to not get hit.
This is true.
Yes.
And if there's a very big risk that you will be hit, kick them in the nuts.
But
What? It works.
No, I'm not complaining. I think it's perfectly reasonable.
But are we sure that stuff of nightmares actually have lots?
I mean,
They're made of nightmares, and there are people who are not intolerant, so sure they do.
Sure.
Otherwise, tactical retreat is also a possibility.
Yeah, that might be a good idea, if needs be.
if needs be.
Alright, shall we go face our nightmares?
Yes, nightmares and riddles and a question of courtly honor.
Right. So you basically you You leave court?
Yes.
Alright.
As we were told to.
Yep, sure. No, just wanted to be sure. And you are, in fact, met outside, as you were also informed that you would be, by two people. This here is one of them. Her.
Hmm.
Oh,
And this one.
Oh my.
Agnes sort of sidesteps, so she's partly covered by Sunny's wings.
Yes. They are standing outside with a. They have actually brought with them a minivan.
Okay.
The troll is leaned against the hood of it, obviously blind. There's no question that she's not going to be driving anywhere. So clearly the red cab is meant to be the driver.
Hmm.
Hi?
Hello there, says the troll, and pushes off the hood. I take it you're all there?
Yeah, we've come to face your challenge.
Good. Oh, how fantastic. I wasn't sure if he was going to be a coward about it or not. Excellent. Nice to see that there's still some honor in the summer court. Well then, let me tell you what this is all about. We in the shadow in the shadow court, we think that there isn't enough backbone left in the next generation of Cthane. So by the time the little Baroness comes into power, you will be of age, and a lot of the people who are now populating the courts are going to be dead and gone, because, nothing lasts forever, especially for us. And we want to be sure that whoever comes next is actually strong enough to protect Copenhagen properly.
Very noble.
Yes, we actually think we're being extremely noble in all of this. It's obviously we have the best interests of the city at heart. Right. So what we want to see is how well you deal with, well, the nastier things. So we've arranged for you to stay the night at a place here in Copenhagen, and we do expect you to stay the entire night. I'm sure that you're going to have lots and lots of fun. All we ask is that you stay where you are. You can move around in the building, but you can't leave the building. If you leave, you lose.
Right.
Hmm.
And what kind of place would this be then?
Oh, it's nothing terribly bad. All right, it's a condemned building, but they're not pulling it down just yet.
That's at least good.
It used to be a student home.
Jonas thinks to himself, that doesn't sound too scary.
No, it doesn't.
But if it do collapse around our ears, does it count as leaving?
No, if it collapses around you, you win by default. I promise, she says. It's not gonna collapse. The building is in good condition.
So what's the catch?
The catch is that you won't be the only people there.
Oh, who else will be there?
Well, for one, the last remaining resident of the place. His name is Oscar. I'm told he's actually quite nice. Or he was. Until he died in the mid-90s when someone beat him up in, a back alley. Wasn't that your dad, Maria? He says, and looks at the red cap, who grins back with filed teeth.
So, we're to spend the night in a condemned building with the company of a ghost.
Yes! And whoever else might decide to drop by, but I promise it's not going to be any of us. We're going to leave you all alone there, don't worry. There will not be any direct interference from the Shadow Court. We've made a promise, we're not going to be there.
I am sure that it will be a thorough challenge, and we will meet it well.
Yes, and I'm sure it's no fault of yours if someone happens to overhear that we're there.
Oh, I'm sure no such thing could possibly happen.
Whatever.
After all, that would be dishonest.
What did you just?
You.
So, are you up for it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Anything that we should face, we will adapt to.
Excellent. We've even made sure to make you some sandwiches.
How very thoughtful of you.
We are the soul of thoughtfulness. We can't leave 6 kids in a house overnight without dinner.
Jasmine's smile is very waxen.
Oh, really?
Jonas doesn't bother to smile.
So, shall we bundle ourselves into the back of your van?
Let us, in fact.
Is it out of character? Is it adorned? Is the van marked in any way?
No, it's just a white minivan.
Fair enough. Should consider getting some decoration on this van. Maybe make it up like the Mystery Machine, Scooby-Doo sort of thing.
Maria looks over her shoulder and says, "You wouldn't like the kind of decorations I want in my car."
No, I probably wouldn't, but it would at least be... I don't know.
I'd start with bits of you.
I'm sure I would look very tasteful on the interior.
Tasty, more like, she says and licks her lips. And and then she starts the car and starts driving.
Okay.
And probably to the surprise of absolutely no one, she is a fairly reckless driver.
Are we... Is there seating and seat belts and things in the back of this van?
Yes, there is, and you are highly advised to use them, or you would be thrown all over the place.
I'd say, I'd be tempted to not be sat in so I could basically get thrown about and have my neck break and then they'd have to forfeit. But no, it's not worth it. Oh dear.
So?
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's a double botch.
Ouch.
What?
Sai is not happy. He's curled up in a ball in the back of this car.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah. So,
I take it he would have jumped out if it wasn't a moving car.
He would have jumped out if it wasn't because he was frozen with fear at the moment.
Yep. You eventually get to the place you're supposed to go, and it is in fact, as you've been told, it's an old student home or a student house. It's condemned to be torn down. It's in one of the suburbs, so it's not in the middle of Copenhagen. It's not terribly. It's not the building doesn't look like it's in awful condition. Like you'd have to, basically tiptoe around the place, or the whole thing would come down on you. It actually looks like the troll was telling the truth when she said that the building was in good condition.
Right. Does it have huge "Do Not Enter" signs everywhere?
Yes, it does. You can also see that there is, the machinery and the everything has been set up already so that it's ready to be torn down. But obviously, they're not going to do that overnight.
I think No, I'll wait until they're not in the presence or in the company of these people. Don't want to give them ideas.
They hand over a backpack with the sandwiches in, and basically say, "Have fun. We'll be by tomorrow morning at sunup."
Right. Have a pleasant night.
You too.
Bye.
They hop in the car and laugh their heads off as they drive away.
Jonas looks to the others and says, I hate to say this, but we should probably take care not to have any light on us, because if a security guard sees us, we'll be forced to leave.
If it's a condemned building, no security guards will be here.
Indeed. Yeah. Maybe, but still, we'll be cautious. Jasmine is opening the backpack and checking the contents of those sandwiches.
They're actually pretty good. They're pretty good sandwiches.
All right. I was expecting it to be full of intestines or something.
No. They're perfectly ordinary sandwiches made by one of the delis in town.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Actually, I got a way we can get out of this within the next hour.
Oh?
We take those sandwiches in that backpack, put it down at the end of this building, and burn it all down. Because if it collapses around our ears, we have one by default. There are rules.
I think the rule was if it collapses around our ears.
Yeah. If you
As in we
stand
have to be in it.
Well, that's just the way it's supposed to be. If you ruin some of the walls around where we are standing, the rest of the shit will actually, literally collapse around our ears, and we'll still be safe.
I think I'd rather spend the night than have a building collapse around me.
Where's your sense of adventure?
I was just waiting for that.
You know,
Gentlemen,
I've been
gentlemen.
asking him the exact same thing. Let's get in there.
Yes, let's get in before we're accused of dawdling and get forfeited by default.
Right, Jonas says, picking out his phone and texting his mom. I'm going to be spending the night in a ghost house.
Oh, cool! Take photos.
Your mom is way too relaxed about this.
It makes it easier, I guess.
Well, at least she knows.
I'm not going to take photos, I'm sure.
So you enter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And, I mean, obviously it smells kind of musty in there because nobody's been living there for several years. But, you know, as you enter, it's not dark outside yet. The shadows are getting longer, but it's not dark yet. And it's... At least it's gotten to be the time of day where the heat isn't absolutely stifling. You're not sweating buckets anymore, which, you know, most people did earlier during the day because it was getting close to 30 degrees centigrade. And now by this time it's more like 20, so it's you know, it's manageable. It feels positively cool compared to earlier.
I'm sure we're gonna get much colder later.
Well, that might happen.
This actually feels nice.
Yeah. We should probably get... Sorry?
Can it be so bad?
I mean, I imagine so.
So why don't we start with just looking all over the house and see what we can find? I mean,
Yeah, I was...
if there's something hidden, it's nice to see when there's a little bit of daylight left.
And we can familiarize ourselves with the place so we don't get lost and or accidentally leave the house.
Right? That sounds like a good plan, and I guess that's something you can do when we get back after the first break.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.